the homesickness. A different camp each year, so I don't know what you mean when you talk about your summer friends. YMCA. 13 years old. Cabin counselor Steve, who didn't eat meat, never had cravings, just stop asking. A skit in the campfire amphitheater. Steve's candy shop. Enter kids from my cabin, one at a time, a stool, a ladder, a sign repeating Steve's candy shop. Steve's candy shop. Some heckler says louder, Steve's candy shop. But Steve, now you got all you need for your shop, but you still got no candy in your shop. What do you mean? We got these suckers. And swindled children go, hey. The year before I was 12, which you already know if you can count backwards, the camp was Wandering Pines, where boys and girls shared cabins that weren't so much cabins as roofs on stilts for when it rained. No church service on Sundays because the camp was not run by a church. There was a writing contest about Mother Nature, and I wrote a poem. The wind came through those open walls and blew my page onto the bed of a pretty mousy girl with glasses whose name began with Ah. She asked if it was for her, and a smarter boy would not have told her that it was for Mother Nature, as could be seen from how it was called Mother Nature is Beautiful, and went on at length about how Mother Nature went about being beautiful. But let's talk about YMCA, because that's why we're here. Boys and girls slept in separate cabins but mingled at gatherings where an 8-year-old girl formed a crush on Steve, and this bald fat kid in my cabin, John, gaps in his teeth wide enough to push food through, bragging how he exchanged letters with the Beastie Boys, which no one believed, thought a running joke would be to ask Steve if that 8-year-old girl wasn't too young for him. And Steve left the boys alone in the cabin one night, and John screamed dirty jokes, and when we told him to shut up, he jumped on his bed, screamed the same jokes louder, and for our grand finale, that fat boy shined a flashlight at his butthole and danced around the room to each of our beds, giggling and demanding that we each verify with our own eyes that he was finger banging himself. And delicate flower, I retreated to Wandering Pines, to a night called Sleeping Under the Stars, when we brought sleeping bags to a grassy field, and by accident or hidden design, I slept next to a pretty mousy girl with glasses, who over the first hour inched her sleeping bag closer to mine. And when Steve came back, flicking the light on, far too late for it to have done any good, John asked, "Damn, where you been? Ain't that girl's pussy too small for you?" To which Steve replied, "Oh yeah, it's small now, but here's what I'll do." And the C in YMCA stands for Christian. A non-denominational church ran the boys' home I lived in when I was 16. A boys' home is something like a summer camp, but lasting more than 2 weeks. And I'm sorry for tricking you, but that's what we've been talking about here. There's no story in summer camp in the mountains. Don't write that story, it's boring. And in this Christian home, they confiscated my favorite awful music, and when I screamed the fury of teenage injustice, I was pinned against the carpet as those trusted with my psychological well-being spoke with God, telling him of the demon inside me and pleading with him to cast that demon out. And as the only entity inside me, I was cast out. And where I went was a field on a night called Sleeping Under the Stars, where I held a mousy girl whose name I remembered for years, and whispered Mother Nature is beautiful as though it meant I love you, and thought for sure that I meant it.
Hey.